American Eagle is a large dual-track wooden roller coaster at Six Flags Great America. What was once a record-breaking ride has since been named as a potential RMC candidate over the past decade. While I cannot say for sure how long this ride will remain at the park in its current form, this review will discuss whether it should remain at the park. American Eagle opened at the then Marriott's Great America in 1981. The park originally asked John Allen to design the ride, but he declined, so it instead was designed by Curtis Summers, James Figley, and Leonard Wright, and was built by Intamin. While we know this manufacturer today for making some of the world's craziest coasters, it was a very bold move for them at the time. At the time, the only roller coaster they had ever built was Cedar Point, which was a kiddie coaster. Now, they were tasked with building an entirely different coaster type on a scale never seen before. American Eagle opened as the world's tallest and fastest wooden roller coaster. The ride would hold the height record until 1985, when La Ronde opened Le Monster. Then it would retain the speed record far longer for nearly 2 decades, losing it when Six Flags St. Louis opened Boss in 2000. For the ride's first 3.5 decades of operation, both sides would race each other, but this stopped around 2016 or 2017. Now the park frequently just operates one side at a time, and on days it runs, it commonly opens late. This has sometimes been for staffing, other times it has been for maintenance purposes. In recent years, they have refurbished one side while continuing to run the other. On the rare days when both sides are in service, dispatches are deliberately staggered so the trains do not race. This is presumably done to limit wear and tear in the structure. I've heard specifically for the large helix. The aforementioned Le Monster does the exact same thing. This is one of the reasons that American Eagle's future has been the topic of debate over the past decade. Six Flags was the first company to work with Rocky Mountain Construction, or RMC, to convert aging wood coasters into steel hybrid coasters. These conversions were wildly successful. First was New Texas Giant at Six Flags Over Texas in 2011, and second was Iron Rattler at Six Flags Fiesta Texas in 2013. There were rumors that Great America was looking into giving American Eagle a similar conversion, but the story goes that when RMC was touring the park in the early 2010s, they noticed the vacant plot where Iron Wolf once stood. RMC instead proposed a record-breaking ride for that site. Great America jumped on that proposal, and this ride ultimately became Goliath, which opened in 2014 with a drop in speed record for wood coasters. I really like Goliath, but I do find it to be the weakest RMC. That is purely due to the length. I love the elements it has, but it just does not have a large quantity of them. I personally think RMCing American Eagle would have resulted in a superior ride, especially if the park used both sides and the full track length. Maybe it would have turned out like Twisted Colossus at Six Flags Magic Mountain, which is one of my personal favorite coasters. However, I do not blame the park for the approach they took. It increased the park's ride count rather than being a lateral move, and it allowed a classic wood coaster to live on. But could RMC convert American Eagle one day? Possibly, especially if that was once on the table. But this past summer, the park president commented that their plan is to keep this coaster entirely wooden at this time. They know they'll have to keep rebuilding it. That is the nature of a wood coaster. They also said they'll consider racing the coaster again in the future if they can consistently get both sides running together, so only time will tell. I get why this ride requires so much maintenance, because it is huge, both in terms of height and length. This ride looks great on the skyline. It runs alongside the backside of the park. The lift hill makes for a great backdrop, but this ride really shines on the arrival experience. It runs alongside a roadway outside the park to draw in crowds. Then one of the ways into the park passes directly underneath this ride. Then this ride's structure is dense, particularly the helix turnaround. It's a marvel, and I'm a sucker for this ride's color scheme. The support structure is all white, which looks great on a classic wood coaster. Then the running rails are red, and the floorboards are blue to complete the all-American paint scheme. One thing I am not a fan of though is this ride's queue line. It is infamously annoying. The ride was always set a ways back from the midway. This is because the station is beyond the park's train tracks and service road, both of which you have to cross over. Originally, the ride had a series of switchbacks just off the midway, but this queue house was replaced with Kidsopolis in 2006. So a new entrance was made to the right of this area, and it was shared with the former Sky Coaster for many years. To connect back with the old queue, guests have to navigate a series of ramps and elevated pathways. At the end of the queue, you can select either the red or blue side, if both are available. More commonly in recent years, everyone is funneled to the one operating side. If I have my choice, I prefer the red side. While the two coasters have nearly identical outward legs, red has some additional hills on the return run. Blue is most notable for running the train backwards several times. This happened in 1991, 1996, 2002 through 2005, 2011, and most recently 2013. It is possible this could return one day, and I believe the park considered this a few years ago. I never tried it, but I hope I can one day. This ride is capable of really high throughputs. Each side originally had 3 trains, but now each side is just 2. Still, it can process a lot of people. Each train can hold a max of 30 riders, as they each have 5 cars with 3 rows of 2. And if a side is open, it usually has both trains in use. The crew usually has the next train ready to go once the prior one hits the brake run, and it helps because of how long the ride is. American Eagle usually is one of the shorter waits of the park's major coasters. It is usually minimal if both sides are open, but I have seen the queue build up on busy days, especially if just one side is in use. I've seen it hit the 30 to 45 minute mark in a few visits. That was still less than the park's other major coasters though. For many years, this coaster was not included in the park's Flash Pass Skip the Line service on any level. It has sometimes been included on the Flash Pass though during the past 2 years, but not always. For example, I believe it was on the Platinum tier in my June visit, but it is not on any level as I record this in October. So if you plan to buy the Flash Pass, consider hitting this ride early because it may be excluded. Those with Flash Pass are routed up the exit. All other guests are free to wait for any row they'd like once they reach the station. I like this coaster best in the back car. This is mainly for the drop off the helix. I specifically like the second to back or third to back best. This is because this ride definitely has some bumpy spots, and they're much more noticeable in the wheel seats or very back of a car. I still find the ride tolerable there because the train is not going too fast when it's bouncing, but I can mitigate a decent chunk of that anyway by avoiding row 3 in a car. And the forces don't feel much different anyway, so it really makes sense to avoid these seats. This coaster uses PTC trains, but they're a bit different than the conventional ones out there. For one, they have wings on the sides of the train. This is so riders keep their hands inside the vehicle. Usually these are added for tight clearances. I suspect these were added to prevent guests from slapping hands with opposing trains when it raced. 2. The individual ratcheting lap bars are shaped differently. Most have 2 bars over your lap, but this one is just 1 bar, so it makes an L shape. And it also has more resistance to it, so it's less likely to change positions during the ride. In addition to this, riders have individual seatbelts. The ride used to have single position buzz bars, but like many classic Woodies at corporate parks, these were phased out for more restrictive restraints. Once dispatched, you slowly roll out of the station and approach the lift hill. You then ascend the 127-foot or 39-meter tall lift hill. This is slow. It takes nearly 1 minute to reach the top. Back when it raced, riders from both trains would banter at each other because the two lifts are placed side by side. While that no longer happens, you still have a great view overlooking the park off to your right. Then at the top, you get a nice view overlooking the layout. At one point, American Eagle was a pseudo dive coaster. The train would be stopped atop the lift for a few seconds. I thought this would have been done exclusively by stopping the chain lift, but there also were some brakes at the crest, so I think the two worked together. But this has not been done for a very long time. These brakes and brackets were fully removed by the early 2000s. Today, you just go over the top at a slow but steady pace. It is still a fun drop, mainly because of its sheer size. It opened with the tallest drop of any coaster, wood or steel, at 147 feet or 45 meters. This was achieved by plunging into a subterranean pit. I didn't realize the coaster did this in my initial rides because the pullout is wedged in between the return run, so you can't tell you're underground. And unlike a lot of other large wood coasters built in the 1980s, this drop is untrimmed, so you feel every bit of the speed. I thought the drop would have some airtime considering it's fairly steep at a 55-degree angle, but I've never lifted out of my seat. I have gotten good positive Gs in the pullout though, which is a nice treat on a wood coaster. Next are back-to-back bunny hills. You fly over these. The first is considerably more drawn out, and this offers weak to okay floater airtime throughout the train. The second is more compact, and offers superior airtime. It is consistently solid floater for me. This part is surprisingly smooth, despite the scale and speed. Then you climb a giant hill. The train barely makes it up it, so forget about any negative Gs here. You then pass through some trims, slowing down a bit. Then comes the pace-killing downwards helix. This is a colossal 560-degree downwards helix, and it is really awkward in my opinion. The train takes its sweet time going through it. The first lap is very tame, but you can get some weak laterals on the final part when you've built back up some momentum. Adding insult to injury though, the train shovels throughout the whole maneuver. It is the bumpiest part of the ride by far, but it's at least tolerable because you take it so slowly. I imagine this was more exciting in the past when the trains raced. Getting to interact with the other train for 25 to 30 straight seconds mid-ride would have been really cool. This helix does not bring you down to ground level, which sets up the ride's best element, the helix dip. After passing through a small straightaway, you drop back down. There is a trim here that can hit the ride if it's running fast, but you'll still have more than enough speed for this element. So much so that even those in front get an okay pop of airtime on the drop. Then those in back get a good burst of ejector. I do find this moment a bit better on the red side because the drop is a tad bigger, but it is great on either side. Up until this point, the two sides are fairly similar. The biggest difference is the blue size on the outside of the helix. So back when this ride raced, this would cause blue to fall behind. So the layout compensates from this point. Whereas red has 4 straight bunny hills, blue only has 2 bunny hills. In between those hills, blue has some low track to make up ground. Neither bunny hill has offered me any airtime on blue. The low section subtly turns right, and due to the lack of banking, it offers some laterals. On red, 3 of the 4 bunny hills have offered weak floater for me if you're on the ends of the train. The only one that does not is the second one, which is larger and banks right. Both sides do vibrate during this part, but it's nothing too bad. Both rides then rise upwards and hit a harsh set of brakes. The train slows to a crawl. Both sides then meekly complete a 360-degree downwards helix. You take it with so little speed that it does absolutely nothing. You then gently climb up into the brakes and return to the station, ending the 4,650 foot or 1,417 meter long experience. Both sides have the same reported track length, but I have to think they truly vary given the different return run. So what would I rate American Eagle? In its current form, I would give this coaster a 5 out of 10. It's a fine ride, but a very uneven one. The outward leg and helix dip are great, and the bunny hills are okay, particularly on the red side. But to experience these, you need to wade through some dull parts. The two helixes kill the ride's momentum. They are boring and drawn out. I think this would be mitigated on the first helix of the two sides still raced, but again, I have never experienced that, and who knows if people will again. The ride is also a bit bumpy at points, but it's not too bad. Really, the pacing is my biggest gripe with this coaster. Still, this is worth a spin every visit to Great America between the ride's strengths and its history. Based on the park's comments, it seems like the current plan is not to RMC American Eagle. While that seems like it could produce a world-class coaster, and it's personally what I would want to see, I get why the park is going in the direction to preserve this ride as a wood coaster. If that's the case, hopefully they can give it a large refurb to have it running in tip-top shape and possibly race again. This would make it so much better. With Cedar Fair now at the helm, that could be possible. They have been taking good care of their racing wood coasters as of late, including adding Gravity Group's pre-cut track to the racer at Kings Island. So those are my thoughts on American Eagle at Six Flags Great America. What are your thoughts about this coaster? Do you want to see it get RMC'd, or do you want to remain a wood coaster? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you considered subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.